Hello and welcome to a webinar on the OpenLM core product. Now, I see that we only have Mark here, so I want it to be more like a conversation, less as a webinar, because we're pretty much one-on-one. So I've unmuted you, and if you want to ask something, then simply ask. You can write it down in the chat, use your microphone, whatever you choose. Okay, so can you hear me? Do you have a microphone? Anyway, just write it down in the chat. So I will start with a brief introduction to the core functionalities of OpenLM. And if I have some time, I will go over some extensions of OpenLM. So to start, OpenLM, I'm sure that you already know, but it gives you a complete picture of what's going on with your system. First of all, you'll be able to know what's going on right now, such as seen in this screen right here. You will be able to see all your license servers, meaning that you can set up all your different license server in one place and be able to view the current situation of them. So right here, this is the license server screen. It enables you to see your license quantity right here. If I click on the quantity itself, I'll be able to see the features inside. So I see that there are a few features right here. And if I click on the procurement, I'll be able to see that as well. See their expiration, when it started, when it was issued, and everything. Now, I'm also able to see who is using right now. So if I click on the used right here, I'll be able to see that Naomi from sales is using right now. It's been using like 2 minutes from this workstation, using this server, pretty much everything that you would like to see and know about your users, about your sessions. So this shows you what's going on right now. You probably know this screen, but know that this screen has been one of the starting screens, the first thing that you see when you go into OpenLM, just to give you an overview of what's going on right now. But let's say that you want to have statistical information. You want to know beyond that. You want to look into the past and see what is your licensing situation. So you're able to do that with the license usage report, which is also one of our most used report. We have the license quantity on top, the license usage, meaning concurrent usage on the bottom, and it lets us understand how far we are from actually maxing out the license. So right here we see that it's very underused, and here we see that it's almost maxing out. You can also see that as a heat map, as you see right here, which shows you the high points and low points during the week, during the day of your licenses. Now, as we said, once the concurrent usage matches the license quantity line, that means that the license is maxed out, meaning that users will start getting denied. So for that, we have the denials report. Again, the reports that I've seen in start, reports, we got license usage and denials. Now this shows you all the denials that you had for a certain server, for a certain feature, maybe for everything, whatever you choose. You can aggregate it however you want, like by hour in a day, for example, like you see here, where you see that 1 o'clock was the most denied hour. So you'd know approximately what's wrong with the license, approximately how many users are just sitting on their hands because they didn't get a license. Now, OpenLM has an ability to show only true denials. Now, what is a true denial? Let's say that you are an engineer, you open the application, and the application goes out to the license server, tries to get a license, but gets denied. Then the system will automatically go to another server and will get the license. So the first denial, is that something that you want to see? Well, you can choose. If you don't want to see it and doesn't count as a denial because it did get the license eventually, so you can show true denials only or not. Now, of course, that this report can be shown as a chart or as a table, as a pie chart, as a line chart. And this is pretty good. It shows you statistical information regarding denials, what's going on right now, but it doesn't still compile it into a cohesive number, like predict how many licenses I need for that feature. So for that, we have the license utilization report, which can be found under Start Management License Utilization. And this report shows you how many licenses you actually need. So this report shows the amount of time, in percentage, the amount of time spent on each concurrent usage level, meaning that one license used is like 84% of the times, and 37 licenses used together is like 6-7% of the time. Now, why is that good? How can it help us? Well, it lets us set the quality of service. Now, what is quality of service? Let's say that you are okay with the fact that 5% of the times users will get denied, meaning that 95% of the time they will get the license. Now, this is statistically speaking. Now, if I'm okay with the fact that 5% of the times users will get denied, then I only need 45 licenses. You see that I have 70 licenses here, but I only need 45. Now, if 90% is good, then I only need 30 licenses. Now, that's a huge reduction. That's less than half of the needed licenses. Now, what does this report give you? This report enables you to know and gives you power when confronting the vendor. For example, you want to buy new licenses or upgrade your policy. So the vendor might tell you, oh, you bought 70 licenses yesterday, last year. This year, maybe you need 60. You didn't use them all, but maybe you need 60 or 55 or 65 or something like that. Usually, you won't have a valid report. Without OpenLM, you don't really have a valid report to come to the vendor and tell him, well, no, I need 30 licenses. This is what I need. Maybe I'm going to buy 33 licenses just in case, but I need 30 licenses, so no one can fool you on that part. It also gives you a lot of power when confronting the organization itself. Meaning that, let's say Bob comes up to you and tells you, I have a new project, I need 150 new licenses. So you can run a check on his users, on his project, and say, well, you don't need 150 new licenses, you need only 20. So this way, no one will be able to tell you what they need. You will tell them what you need. So if we take a look at it from another angle, there's the licenses not in use report. can get to it by Start, Management, Licenses not in use. Now this shows you which licenses you're not using. Why is that good and why is that different from the license utilization? It tells you how many licenses you need. Because this tells you how many licenses you need, and this tells you which packages you're not using or which features within certain packages you're not using. So for example, you can tell that Navisworks here, for example, was never used. So next time that I want to buy, I go to Autodesk and I want to buy a package, I can buy a smaller package without Navisworks. Or maybe I see that only AutoCAD is being used, so I don't buy the package, I just buy the feature, AutoCAD. Now you can see that these reports are just the top 5 reports of OpenLM. I'm not going to show you all the reports of OpenLM because I understand that you already have OpenLM installed. So I will move on to the OpenLM extensions. But if you have any questions, or if you want to go back, or if you don't want to talk about extensions, then please let me know so I can direct the session differently. Okay, so which extensions do we have? First of all, an extension is something external. It's not external, it's paid for, and it requires a license modification for it. So, but it gives you extra functionality, either management functionality or increases your availability and utilization of licenses. So let's take a look at how it does that. First of all, we got the alert management. Alerts management lets you get notified on certain criteria when a condition is met. For example, you can get notified and have an email sent to you, an SMS, just show an alert right here. And you can get notified once a license server is not responding, meaning that the license server is down or the license manager is down. So you need to pull it back up. You need to do something with it. So this can notify you and let you know, hey, something's wrong with the license manager. Check it out. Usage percentage over 90%. Now it can be set to anything you want, but it mainly means that if, for example, you have 100 licenses and 95 licenses have been checked out, meaning that you're over the percentage that you set, meaning that the license is about to be maxed out. So you want to get notified about it. You'd want to release licenses, you'd want to close workstations, you would like to pretty much do whatever it is you do when licenses are stressed. Duplicate license usage, you can get notified when a user opened up the same application twice on the same machine. You can get notified once a license is about to be expired. For here it's 2 weeks, but you can set it to whatever you choose. But you can get notified when the license is about to expire, so you'd know to go out and buy new ones and update the policy, whatever you do when a license is about to expire. Users with no group or project, that helps you find unauthorized usage in your system. If you have everybody in groups and everybody in groups or projects, then no one should be without a group. Then if you get that notification, then you know that you have an unauthorized user of the application. This way, you'll know to find him by his username, by his details, and check out the issue. Why is he not under a group? Maybe it's just an unauthorized usage. You don't want that user. So you can block him. You can get notified once a usage period is over a certain value. Here it's 600 minutes, but let's say that you have users that take licenses and don't put them back when they finish their working day. So you can get notified when that user uses for more than, let's say, 12 hours. But also he can get notified about it when OpenLM notifies the involved user and lets him know automatically that he is infringing on this condition that he has been using for too long. Now you can add a custom title and say something along the lines of, well, remember to put back your license or close the application when you go home, or something like that. Maximum number of denials goes over a certain threshold, meaning that this tells you if the system is healthy. Meaning that, let's say that you have 1,000 denials in the span of like 10 minutes, which is a crazy amount of denials. But that means that something's wrong with the license server. The license server is not giving out licenses. Maybe the license server is responding, it's up, it's running, but people are getting denied. So there might be something wrong with the license file. Maybe it's expired. Maybe it's the syntax is bad. Maybe it's not compiled into the system. Maybe the system needs to be reread. Any of the options you'll be able to get notified on. Now, there are a few more extensions that I will briefly talk about, and then I will demonstrate a few other extensions. So OpenLM is also able to set different roles and permissions to different users. So for example, management will be able to see different things from the engineers, and the admin will be able to see different things. You can set different regional servers to only be displayed to those regional users. For example, users from USA will only be able to see USA servers and not see German servers, for example. OpenLM also connects and synchronizes with the LDAP directory, with the Active Directory using LDAP communication. The Active Directory, as you probably know, is a directory that holds all the users and their details and credentials and everything. And the OpenLM system has a way to synchronize with those users. Now you can synchronize and pull those users, or you can synchronize and pull them but create new groups as a result. For example, let's say that you go to this node, you choose the users, you want to get all the users, only the active users of licenses, okay. Now you can set all these users to be a part of a, I don't know, Germany sales group if you want. But you can also use the hierarchy of the nodes themselves. If you have a hierarchy, meaning nodes within nodes, then you'll be able to set those nodes as groups. But also, you'll be able to set groups by attribute. Let's select department, for example. If we group users by this attribute, meaning that if I have in my department attribute, I have support and you have sales under that, so you will go to sales group and I will go to support group, and each user with support in his attribute, in his department attribute, will be able to be a part of that group. Now this can be done on any attribute the Active Directory has. Also any custom attributes that you'd like, whatever you choose, but also a pattern, regular expression or regex pattern. You'll be able to create those groups from those users. Now, I want to move on to showing you what the agent can do. the OpenLM agent. Now, the OpenLM agent has several tiers. I'm not gonna talk about the core tier. I'm gonna jump straight to the extension. So first of all, the agent is able to show you the session idle time. Now, what does that mean, session idle time? Let's say that you pulled a license, but you're on Facebook, or you went home, or you're in a meeting, or whatever. So the application is using a license. So that license is pulled and no one else can use that license, which is a very bad situation. You'd want to know if they're actually using it or not. So for that, we have the actual usage extension of the agent, which shows you exactly who is actually using the application. If the CPU for this application, the CPU usage drops, the memory usage drops, the operations per minute drops below a certain threshold, then the system will be classified as idle. The application will be classified as idle because it has low usage. Now, once we, for example, minimize it or just don't touch it, then in about a minute or two, I see it's already here, we'll be able to see that session's idle time. Now, I see that we have an idle time of like 58 seconds right here for this session. Sometimes users, they hog licenses. In my last job, we had an application called Chromeleon, and I came in the morning, I pulled the license, and that's it. I didn't check it back in for months until they shut off my workstation or something went wrong. So I was a license hog. Other users could not use that license because it's reserved to me, or it's like a named license, meaning that you have a floating license that you're paying for a floating license, but you're actually getting a named license because someone is getting the license and not using it actually. So this way you'll be able to know who is misusing the license. You'll be able to tell him, notify him, close his workstation, release his license, whatever you do. But the next tier of the OpenLM agent enables you to close the application, to manually or automatically close the application once it has reached a certain threshold of idle time. So if I click close app right here, then it will take about 2 minutes and the application will be closed. Now I have it right here in the tray. We'll wait a while and it will be closed. Now, this can be done, as I said, either manually, but it can also be done automatically, meaning that once this threshold goes over, like let's say if you set it to 30 minutes, you can set it to 12 hours, whatever you choose. Once this goes over a certain threshold, then the application will automatically be closed. So if the license is stressed and there's a lot of idle time for some users, so you can set the system to simply close that. So we missed it, but it closed AutoCAD. You see that the icon is gone, and we get a message popping up right here on the right. OpenLM agent has recently closed AutoCAD.exe at system administrator's request. If it was using the idle time threshold, then it would have told me that. So if I want, if there's a license available, I can just click open and it reopens the application. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, well, what about the guy's work? He worked on something. I don't want to kill his app. I want him to finish working and save. So depends on which application you are using, you will be able to save the work of that engineer. If it's a new file, then it will save it to a temp folder. But if it's an old file, a used file, then it will simply save it to that file. But this is, as I said, only for 4 applications, which is all applications of Autodesk, ArcGIS, MATLAB, and SolidWorks. These are the big 4 that allows for save and close capabilities. But you're probably saying, well, I don't have one of these big 4s, or maybe I'll use that for the big 4s, but what about my other applications? I want that as well. For that, we have the suspend release mechanism. The suspend release mechanism works like the save and close, but it doesn't save and closes the application. It simply freezes it. It simply suspends it. The process is suspended, the license is released, and the process can be thawed back up, can be reinitiated only if there's a license available. So you're not closing his session, he has the work still there, but the process is frozen, is not dead, but frozen. Now this is for all of FlexLM applications. All applications which work under FlexLM, meaning, for example, NX UGraph. NX works under FlexLM, so it can work with the suspend release mechanism. But if you're not using any license server that's any other license server, DSLS, LMX, whatever, then you can use the agent's procedures. The agent procedure allows for simply killing the process. No saving, no nothing, just kill the process. It also allows for running custom scripts on the workstation. So for example, you can set it to run a custom script popping up a notification saying that, hey buddy, we need those licenses. Please put them back. We know you've been idle for this and this time. Now, the next tier of the OpenLM agent is actually the OpenLM App Manager. Now let me quickly close that. The OpenLM App Manager allows you to track different types of licenses in any application. So let's say that you have Autodesk, but you have, I don't know, 1,000 floating licenses, but you also got like 50 more named licenses. So you can also monitor those licenses. You're probably asking, why would I want to track or monitor named licenses? They're named. One user, one license. That's it, right? Yeah, but maybe that user is not using his named license. Maybe he's using it like 1 hour a day or 1 day a week. Then you can trade with someone from the floating license pool that works 9 hours a day, 10 hours a day with that application. So you can give him the named license and put the guy from the named license in the floating license pool because he only uses it like 1 hour a day. This way, you'll be able to know and allocate your licenses better. And if someone that uses 10 hours of floating license receives a named license, then the floating license pool becomes much more relaxed. Users can get, statistically can get more licenses, or easily get more licenses. Now this extends not only to licensing types, but any application. So you can track Photoshop, Autodesk, whatever. I put Autodesk, and this is both floating and named licenses. Photoshop is just a locked license for a machine. You buy the software. Also, this can be tracked. Visual Studio, Microsoft components, And even applications that do not use any license manager or any license at all for that matter, pzip for example, it's like WinZip, just to show you that it can track everything from Autodesk, named license, floating license, doesn't matter, down to like Notepad, everything. Now, another thing that it lets you do besides getting reports on all your selected application, doesn't matter which license type they have, it allows you to set different rules and conditions for different applications. For example, I have a rule here that I set that says that if the application is Autodesk and the version is 2017 and the time is after 8, then deny the license. Now these criteria can be set on the time, on the version of the vendor, meaning that if you have a new version of AutoCAD, for example, you can have all your users be denied from using AutoCAD, I don't know, 2016, and have them only work with 2018. Or you want to allocate different licenses, different applications to different users. You don't want them to be able to use ArcGIS because they only should use Autodesk. So you can do that. You can also restrict usage by time zone. For example, you can set users to be allowed to pull licenses in their own time zone. So USA, China can work on the same license server, and now you can guarantee that they will not overlap. So let me show you how it works. So we have Autodesk 2017. After 8, we're supposed to get, well, denied. So let's just open up AutoCAD like I am a user. I double click on AutoCAD, and this is what I get. I get this message telling me that access denied due to normal USA working hours rule. This is this rule right here. This is only because I've used Autodesk version 2017 after 8 before 9. I can allow this criteria if I want. So now if I try to pull AutoCAD, it opens with no problems. So this is a great tool for anybody who wants to step out from the floating license pool or maybe wants to create conditions, custom-made conditions for license consumption. Usually, sorry. Usually when using FlexLM, you use options file for license consumption management. But the App Manager allows you to have license consumption management on all applications, all license servers, all types of licenses, just about everything. And currently, the App Manager is free of charge for 1 year, for a trial period of 1 year. But this is only for customers. So you can contact sales at OpenLM.com and they can issue you the App Manager license, which again is free for clients for 1 year. Lastly, after we've seen what the agent can do and how OpenLM can get advanced managerial capabilities, let's take a look at how OpenLM can get advanced reporting capabilities. So the OpenLM Reporting Hub is an extension that allows you to create custom dashboards, custom reports, to play with the data, meaning that you can add columns that were non-existent, create measures from thin air based on other measures. Let me show you. So in general, what is the reporting hub? Before I actually show it, the reporting hub is actually a data engine that gets data from the source OpenLM database, compiles it, calculates it, aggregates it, and puts it in a reporting database, a dedicated reporting database. Now that reporting database is structured in a very easy to use manner. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, well, why don't I just connect to the source OpenLM database? Well, because you're gonna have a bad time. You're not gonna find most of the measures that you need. For example, you won't find session duration there. You won't find concurrent usage there. You will barely find license quantity there. So if you would like to do that, you will have a headache. And let's say that you did it, and you have scripts that get Excel files from the OpenLM database. Once you upgrade, it will probably not work anymore because we change the database almost on each version and we don't document it. Also, OpenLM source database has like 116 different tables. So you see that it's a big problem. It's not very user friendly. It's made for the interface, for the easy admin interface. But what is it that you get in the end here? The end result is a database that you can use any BI tool to connect to. And you get this dimension and measure structure, which is an industry standard by this time. So what do you get? Let me explain a little bit. The dimensions are something that you cannot really calculate. You cannot really sum up. It's just, for example, user dimension is everything about the user. His username, last name, first name, email, all that. You can't really sum it up. So you got all the dimensions that you need, the calendar, group dimension, license that holds everything about the license, license server, product name, all that. Package, project, user, workstation, and then you got your measures. The measures, you have raw measures, which just give you the raw data from the OpenLM database, but with the with session duration and whatever you did, the measures that you actually need. We got the aggregated measures that allow you to set it on a time scale, and we have daily measures which allow you to aggregate different servers together or different features together and get the required result. So now let me show you how easy it is to create a new report. So let's say that we want to see the usage. One moment, please. One moment. Okay. So let's say that we want to see the usage, the session duration per user, and we want it on a bar chart. So this can be done in seconds. Like we click on bar chart, we go to user dimension, we drag username inside, then we go to session duration, and just drag session duration inside. And that's it. The report is done. You can even sort it and see who's the most using user. I can even drill down and take the license, take the license product name, and I can drill down to this user and see what he's using. So I drill down to him and I see he's using all these different features. Or maybe to this user and I see he's using all these different features and the session duration for them. Now you can drill down endlessly. You can drill down from the group to the users, to the workstation, back to the feature, to the server, whatever you choose. And the measures, as you see, are pretty self-explanatory. The interface here to create new reports is simply a drag and drop interface. Like I can get the days, for example, And I want to see on each day the session duration or the amount of denials. So I can get that if I want and get the denials. I can see it as a year, as a quarter, as the months, as the days, whatever I choose. So I'm also able to create new measures that were not there. For example, license utilization. You can create your license utilization easily. You can create time utilization, how much is used within the day. You can create any number of calculated measures and fields that you want. And then to implement them is simply a drag and drop interface. You see, I made this report and it took me about 10 seconds. Now, you probably understand from this that a more complicated report will not be done in 10 seconds, but they will be very fast. It will be quick. You won't need a data analyst. You can do it yourself. No need for coding knowledge. You just drag and drop, everything explains itself. And this is it. This is the OpenLM product, both core and extensions. I didn't go over all the core product and I didn't go over all the extensions. But I did give you the most used products of OpenLM with the most requested reports. So this is it for me. I don't want to overload you with more information. If you have any questions, please ask. Go ahead. I've unmuted you. You can just simply speak to the microphone, or you can write it down in the chat. Anyway, I'm going to be here for the next 5 to 10 minutes if you have any questions. So thanks, guys. I hope it was informative. Okay, so thank you very much. You see no one has a question? Then, oh, yeah, I have it here. Track idle license times without the OpenLM agent? No, there is no possibility to do that because you need some kind of agent component on the workstation, because that agent component tracks the CPU usage, memory usage, operations per minute for that specific process. Can OpenLM do reservations like Flexera? If you use the options file, if you have a FlexLM license manager, then you probably use the options file to do reservations. Now, OpenLM compiles those reservations. You can't create reservations with OpenLM, but you can track those reserved licenses. You can also create options file very easily using another extension. I'm just going to quickly show you this extension. This extension allows you to create options file. For example, this options file was created not by text, not by texting everything into a text file, but just by clicking, selecting, and that's it. For example, let's take interop, okay, and I want to add a certain group to it. Let's take engineers, and I can reserve licenses. Let's say I want to include them. Okay, I can exclude, include, borrow, exclude, reserve licenses, whatever I choose. So I want to include them. Once I save it, then we will be able to see those users right here. It added it to the options file automatically. Now, if I deploy, it will deploy it to the license server. So you see that I didn't write this line. I just selected it and that's it. So if this is something that interests you, I would suggest to talk to sales and they will help you out with that. Another way that I just thought of that, another way that we can sort of reserve licenses is using the App Manager, which, as we've seen, allows you to set different conditions to different users. But you cannot reserve a certain amount of licenses for those users. You can just set criteria of when they will open, what they will open, and who opens what. The webinar will be available in recording mode. I saw that you arrived a bit late. You will be sent the recording once it finishes compiling. Now it takes like an hour to compile and I'm soon going home. So about tomorrow afternoon, you're supposed to have the recording as well. You're most welcome. If you have another question, please contact support at openlm.com and we will be happy to answer. All right. Thanks, guys. Oh, I see he's gone. So thanks, Alex. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye now.